Hello.
Hi, everybody. This is coffee moaning in the evening, so therefore it is wine o'clock. And I'm having a little wine.
And I'm having some ginger beer.
And we're going to have a wine and a moan and a look around and a bit of a chat. So
I like ginger beer.
If you're cooking,
keep cooking.
What are you having?
If you're eating.
If you're travelling home, hope you get home soon.
If you're drinking.
If you're down the pub,
enjoy it. Just get annihilated.
You're still at work, poor you.
How are we all? How is everyone? Hope you're well. Yes, we had to do some filming earlier today, so we couldn't do coffee moaning. But I just wanted to say, if Jane Bentley, let's pull your comment up there. That kind of really resonates. Feel drained. Feel awful complaining when all those poor people in Palestine are in hell. Yes, it does kind of shoot. It's shot through everything, isn't it? It's like everything is shot through with it. It's so tough. And even like just pulling this together, going through stories and looking at what the stories of the day are. We're going to talk about the Diane Abbott fiasco with the Labour Party. We're going to talk about Biden's blurry red lines. Does he have any red lines? Are there red lines? And we're going to talk about the All Eyes on Rafah meme. The AI meme that's kind of everywhere. It's been shared, I think, 47 million times or something. But yeah, when you look at all the stories, there's almost, I then kind of, especially around the Israel-Gaza crisis, there is just, I don't mean an embarrassment of riches in a positive way. There's just so many unbelievable stories that you could hit upon or seize upon or share. And then it becomes quite, it's relentless. It's relentless. It sometimes feels like they're just trying to grind us down. Edward Bevington, Biden's getting worse. Well, he's getting worse. He hasn't even come out and said anything. He hasn't said a word.
And Rishi, they just don't think it's relevant.
I mean, Rishi hasn't said anything about
nothing.
Rafah.
Well, we pay these people.
I mean,
we expect some sort of a comment. You've had so many comments about Hamas, about October the 7th, about nothing.
Nothing.
What does that show us again?
Nothing.
It's not the same, is it?
But you see,
they're not human beings.
I've literally searched hard and wide and far, all over internet land and Instagram land and social media land. I can't find a quote from Rishi specifically about Sunday, or specifically. It's like if you don't mention it, it can't be recorded, and if it can't be recorded, then they can somehow dodge the idea that a genocide ever happened.
And also, they can just wait until nobody's asking anymore. That's what they do.
Of course they do.
It will all go away.
Use the analogy of a little parcel just going down the conveyor belt.
So the thing I found so many things offensive over the last couple of days, but last night the press meeting in the White House was really quite something to behold.
Do you want a clip?
Yes, please.
I've got a clip. You can marvel.
Wait for
John
this.
Kirby?
John Kirby.
Is that his name? John Kirby.
Yeah, Security Communications.
Let's listen to John Kirby, because Biden wouldn't talk, but John Kirby did.
More charred corpses does he have to see before the president considers a change in policy?
We don't want to see a single more innocent life taken, and I kind of take a little offense at the question.
But you've stopped short of outright condemning this strike. Can you explain why?
We have been, I think, very strident in our condemnations about the deaths of innocent civilians. These deaths are not excused from that. But we have to understand what happened here.
What is the administration going to do, whether it was a tragic mistake or deliberate?
Well, let's see what the investigation says.
So you're going to wait for the Israelis to investigate
Let's
themselves?
see what the investigation comes up with. If we had done this, I think we would want the benefit of having the opportunity to investigate it and figure out what happened.
It's not the same thing. We're giving them billions of dollars in weapons.
We're giving them the kinds of capabilities they need to defend themselves.
We're not. We're giving them the capabilities they needed to kill innocent people.
To wipe them out. But the thing I took such offence to was that he was offended that he should be asked about the charred bodies.
I find it staggering.
Later on, he did say, somebody said, if you've seen the photos, we've seen the photos, he said. He did say that. Just staggering.
So hang
staggering.
on.
There is no red line that has been crossed.
I don't understand why journalists don't almost just keep in a Groundhog Day fashion in those White House briefings, keep asking, how can we trust Israel to investigate itself? How can we trust any country? You can't trust a country to investigate itself.
But then it becomes very difficult.
Crime.
But then it becomes very difficult because America can't say that Israel doesn't allow anyone in, even them.
But they don't.
Because they don't want to look like, listen, the port has fallen to pieces. The American port has fallen to pieces.
Piers come apart.
No aid was getting in there. The airdrops are woefully useless. And the way to get aid properly to people is by ground, right? They allow the settlers to destroy the vans, smash the food up in the most disgusting way on the post. Shame on you. One day I hope you can look at videos of yourself and actually see what you look like. And as the South African foreign minister said, surely the great friends of these leaders, I love her so much, I want to be her friend, that have these great relationships with Israel can say, can we just please come through by land? It's the easiest and most efficient way.
But is anyone else? Hope 2505, Mark. That is what happens. Investigations are carried out by the people, always at the hands of it, and rest assured it won't be. No, look.
The fact that he says, if we'd done this, we'd want to investigate. I says, well, just because you're warped.
Yeah, but hang on. The reason America isn't a signatory to the International Court of Justice is because they were going to be found guilty of atrocities in Afghanistan. Yeah. And in fact, they were. Look, I think what you have to say as a democratic country, if you're signing up to international law, the point of signing up to it is you say, even we could make mistakes and overstep the line.
Even we, us white people,
but
us democratic countries.
But there has to be some kind of international barometer or status of kind of investigation. That doesn't mean you investigate yourself. It's like the police. It's like the metro. At least in the police services in this country, it has to be another police force that investigates another police force. Okay, there's still police. But, I think it has to be an international or objective or UN.
I suppose they would say they are in the fog of war, and once it's all settled down, i.e. once they've achieved their aim to wipe them out completely, then an investigation by United Nations. But Israel doesn't let anyone in.
No, I know, but why are they repeatedly saying this?
I know. Well, exactly.
Why don't they repeatedly, when that man stands there in his pompous, supercilious, arrogant, snidey, kind of intolerant and offended kind of manner, why don't they all just keep repeatedly saying, why won't you let independent investigators in? Why won't you let in neutral investigators? Why? Because only that will then become memeable, and then it becomes embarrassing, and then it becomes humiliating. It's like I don't understand how the system and the world allows this non-speak bubble nonsense get out and just keep being said.
Exactly, Anne-Marie. This is as an occupying force. I've read some very interesting articles which state Israel has no right to claim self-defense in accordance with Article 51 of UNCharter with the Charter with regards to attacks from a territory which it occupies. Also, they are obliged to make sure that people get food and water and medical care. And they're doing the complete opposite, sieging them, blocking them out.
Yeah. Because they control all of the essential services, water, gas, fuel, roads, everything, taxes, finances, everything. They control everything in and they control everything out. They are fundamentally responsible for ensuring that all those people that aren't Hamas, which is probably why they all want to insist to themselves and each other that everyone is Hamas.
They're not even allowed to collect rainwater.
No.
They're not even allowed because the rain belongs to the Israeli government.
How do they claim that? How do they claim that the rainwater?
It's so brutal. And if they dig a well, and it's just awful. I saw a little boy today searching for water in a pile of rubble. It's like you just want to go, sweetheart, you're not going to find it in there.
So here's a few memes.
Desperate. He said, I'm dying of thirst.
Yeah. I posted this earlier today. Military, Danny fucking Price, giving it some as he always does. A military operation in Rafah is a red line, so I thought I'd scroll a few red lines. The red lines mean fuck all. There are no red lines. They're grey lines.
There is no. What's the word, Mark?
There is no ground invasion.
No.
There's no evidence of a ground invasion. There's tanks everywhere.
something like a full-on invasion.
But we're splitting hairs.
I mean, for God's sake,
we're splitting
you
hairs
can do a lot
here.
more damage with the plane and your bombs, Mr. Biden.
I mean, I just want
So
to.
now it's only if you come on bicycle.
No, but just for a minute, I don't understand how these people. Well, the point is, and lots of you always, I feel you're getting rather frustrated with me because when I ask these questions, you think that I'm not aware that there is a cynical awareness. I'm asking questions in a sort of slightly rhetorical sense of how can they not think that we're seeing through this? Because don't get me wrong, what's really worrying about all of this is they are active, vicious, culpable Zionists. All of them.
Well, no, but Biden says he is.
Yeah, but culpable in a genocide. They are directly, only they are deciding it's not definable. Only they are pretending that there isn't thousands of aid communities and what are they called, organizations, thousands of genocide prevention organizations. No, there's the Lipkin Center, is there, or something? Yeah. They have defined it as a genocide. And the Americans, these American politicians are directly culpable, as are ours. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. But it's like we then move on from admitting that this is evil. How do you move on from evil? I don't understand it. It gets to me. Okay, well, in other news today, the meme that seems to have got everyone very sort of motivated, mobilized, and has been everywhere. This was what I posted today. It was when I shared it. It was all eyes on Rafah. This is the AI-generated meme. I think it's been shared over 45 million times. I popped and the rest of Gaza and the West Bank. I was hesitant in sharing this because, I mean, we have been talking about, the whole crisis for so long. But I did because I feel anything and everything and anything has got to be good in the end. But I felt I had to put the caveat at the bottom. But this is causing some upset and this is causing some unrest and some sadness and frustration amongst some quarters because a lot of people are feeling this is gesture posting. Discuss.
Well, the thing is with this is I kind of agree with everything that people are saying on this, like all different sides. Some people are getting very angry and saying, why should it be an AI image, like of this really sanitized camp with beautifully lined up tents and everything. Very neat. Beautiful mountains ahead. It's all very neat and clean and organized and relatively safe looking, I suppose, right? So, of course, many people's arguments are that there are so many images that we have, sadly, those that have been engaged for the last 8 months have had to witness and will never forget. So why wasn't a genuine image used? Other people are saying, oh, God, all these people that are only now posting. And I don't agree with that. Like I was saying yesterday, I'm joyful if somebody is now going, oh, what's happening? It's okay. At least now you're saying what's happening. And if this sanitized version allows millions to take a step towards finding out more, that's why I also posted it. I clicked on it and posted it. I wish I'd added something to it. No, I hadn't thought of that. But I agree with, I get the sentiment on both sides.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it. And as I just said, I think anything and everything that can be shared should be shared.
Spread the word.
I think it's interesting that on the same day or in the same couple of days that this meme has ignited social media, so many major sort of faces, Dua Lipa, the Formula
David
One
Beckham.
guy, so many, Lewis Hamilton, so many people are now sort of stating it.
Good.
I just want to share just very quickly.
And I don't like it when people put underneath, oh, well, sorry, you're too late, or I don't like it.
But on that note, I do want to share, this is by Missan Harriman.
Oh, I follow him.
Who
He's
is
wonderful.
the creative chair of the South Bank Centre in London. I just want you to listen to
post him
this.
all the time.
Hey, I wanted to make a quick video because, like everyone, the All Eyes on Rafah AI-generated template seems to be everywhere. Last time I checked, it was 40 million people. So it is a good thing, at least in one aspect, is that I've seen hundreds of friends of mine, personal friends of mine. This is the first time I've seen them post anything about this situation in the last 7 months. So I think that's a good thing. But I would say, Instagram stories for me can sometimes feel like a cop-out, because obviously it disappears in 24 hours and it doesn't affect your perfectly curated actual grid that is there forever. So I hope, you know, those that are posting for the first time, this takes you on a journey to actually post something on your grid, on your Instagram, not on your story, something that is permanent. And I would say this: it's good that you're seeing what's going on and you're engaging on social media, but there have been mainly Palestinian journalists on the ground reporting for the last 7 months really important stories, and you know, I suggest you try and find out how you can follow them and repost their stories that they have been reporting on. Many of them have died. Many of them have died. And if that's something that, you know, for whatever reason you're uncomfortable with, the aid agencies and, you know, Save the Children, Choose Love are posting almost daily, very regularly, on the humanitarian needs. I suggest you repost that on your stories and on your grid that stays there, on the needs these mothers and children and whole communities that are starving need in regards to humanitarian aid. So, posting an AI image on your stories may be the beginning of a journey for you, which is fine. But what no one needs, especially these kids, is performative gestures that disappear in 24 hours.
Oh,
Performative, can I just performative gestures that disappear in 24
so
hours.
beautiful. He's so articulate and he has such a gentle, powerful presence. I love him. Follow on Instagram, his photos every day now. One of his photos gets me going.
But I think one of the most important things, one of the really most important things that he says there is that this is an access point. And I think he just perfectly sums up how I feel. Reese, you've said the same thing. Whatever brings you in, whatever takes you in, whatever gets you in, brilliant. That's got to be brilliant.
Be the beginning.
And I think when he says, let it be the beginning, and also really think about not being afraid to step towards sharing, representing, discussing, revealing, educating on this topic, as he says, in a more permanent fashion on your feeds, if you can. Because as Reese likened it earlier, you said some people are talking about it a little bit like the black square of Black Lives Matter. Everyone reached for it. Everyone did it. You don't want it to be felt like this, I've done that, so I've done it. Because that serves no one. And I think just on this point, before we read YouTube's thing, I want to say a particular, you know, give you a particular round of applause for the bravery and the constancy and the vulnerability you've shown to us, to our community, to everyone. You've not been allowed to in many regards in your more public realm, but you have within your more personal social media side of your business. You've taken risks. But you've kept it real. You've hit the humanitarian. You've hit the unjust. You've hit the amoral, the immoral. You've talked as an Anglo-Arab. You've talked as a mother. You've talked as a daughter. And you've talked as a wife, and you've also represented those innocent men who, for me, you know what? We talk about women and children all the time, of course, but the innocent men of Palestine who somehow are at the bottom of the pile of everything. Everything.
We've said often, haven't we?
But I think a round of applause to you. I mean, obviously I'm doing it too, but you're doing it. You're doing it constantly, and you're doing it instinctively, and you have been for a long time. And when nasty little muppets flap around on social media, getting a little bit aggrieved by the fact, I tell you what they're most aggrieved by. They're aggrieved by the fact that they can't feel real emotion. They just can't. And that's why they seek to undermine whenever you say something. Why haven't you said this? We can always talk about what hasn't been said in some regard. And I'm going to show you a meme that I landed earlier today just to explain what I mean by that.
Thank you.
Round of applause. Pleasure.
No, but the thing is, it's like, it's not even something I think about. It's just like my conscience just can't. I just wish I could do more. That's what I wish. And I'm glad that you've brought other men again, Mark, because we've spoken about this in the past, haven't we? About the way we're not allowed to say any of the men, or we don't say any of the men because we know people will turn away and just say Hamas. Well, that is going to change. We're going to start really campaigning for the men of Gaza that are going starving, that are carrying out the bodies, that are trying to put together the different body parts, who are searching for food that are dehumanized to such a level. They're trying to dehumanize them. They're not, they're humans, and are screaming into the abyss to somebody let them look after their families. So yeah, we're going to do a campaign for the men of Gaza, I think.
Also, someone just
God
said,
knows what will be called for that.
If you support it speaks to the same thing I said before, which is if you're a man who seeks to defend his family in Palestine, the Western world and Israel's definition of you is a terrorist. You don't have the right to defend your family. Quite astonishing that they've got that kind of Rubik's Cube.
So amazing the way they've managed to do that, to gaslight the world.
MeTube says, did everyone see the Finish the Message Nikki Haley wrote on bombs? Yep, I've got it here. Let me just remove your comment.
Ex-presidential candidate Nikki Haley writes, finish them on an Israeli bomb.
Now, she used to be the US ambassador to the UN.
Yep. Imagine that. She was the US ambassador to the UN. There's actually videos of her saying this as well about finish them. And that's what she thinks. That's, to me, that's genocidal.
Of course it is.
Of course you can say, oh, I was only talking about Hamas. Look how many bloody bombs.
Yeah.
So really, are we still in the arena where we are pretending that you can just pick out Hamas from a whole neighborhood when you blow it? Or there's the whole neighborhood's Hamas.
Yeah, but of course, and if the whole neighborhood isn't Hamas, then Hamas have got the missiles around the corner. We don't hit anyone. We don't kill anyone.
One Israeli politician saying, the babies will become Hamas. So even the babies.
Well, and there's also a campaign by some far-right Israeli politicians to prevent the orphans from this war being reunited with any family members because they're worried of... I just want to show this as well in response to the Rafah, the All Eyes on Gaza meme. This was something that was sent and is being sent by, I can only describe as kind of Zionists, really, to combat against this idea that, everyone's sympathetic to, the Palestinians and no one is sympathetic to the Israelis. So I posted this. What's being thrown around a lot here is, where were your eyes on October the 7th? And I posted this on Instagram today saying, all our eyes and hearts were on October the 7th. And let's not forget the horrors, the true horrors of that day lasted a day. But then you went and started, and it was important for me to say accelerated because it was already happening, the ethnic cleansing, for many years before. But you went and started and accelerated a genocide. You lost the sympathy. You threw it away. It's as simple as that. There is no equivalence. Let's use the word that they use. Let's use the word that Netanyahu's used. You're drawing an equivalence, a moral equivalence.
You can't, and you can't, because we are beyond everybody else. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, but there is no equivalence now. You've removed the equivalence. Israel has actually managed to diminish the power, and I don't mean that in a nice way, but the power of what happened on that day. Netanyahu's managed to absolutely destroy that.
By the brutality for the last 7 months since. As I say it nearly every day. Please ask Netanyahu what he thinks about the hostages and what he thinks he could do to help get them back. Because the way he's bombing them and starving them isn't great. Because he doesn't know where they are, does he?
Not at all.
Doesn't know where they are. So every time like I said yesterday, they could have been in those tents.
MeTube says absolutely no equivalence. Israel went way beyond its usual retribution, which, unfortunately, for those of us...
Collective punishment is not okay.
But also for those of us who have been plugged into that area and the politics of that area for the decades, the amount of times the term proportionality or disproportionality has been claimed. And actually, it's almost like the Halcyon idyllic days of when the United Nations, do you remember, were allowed in to investigate bomb sites? I mean, that used to actually happen when they went in to mow the lawn.
Whereas now, ex-US ambassadors to the UN go in and encourage the genocide.
They sign missiles. Anyway, so quickly, I just want to bring up the Diane Abbott story. Diane Abbott, who, is a long-standing Labour politician, Hackney. She's been a Labour politician for 25 years, I think. For me, she's like Ken Livingstone used to be. She's like part of that sort of, she's just always there. She's part of the furniture when it comes to London. She was obviously put under investigation, had the whip removed, and was kind of punished, if you like, because of her article in which she claimed that Jewish people, travelers, gypsy people, did not experience racism in the same way as black people did.
They experienced prejudice, but not racism.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
she apologised for
37 years. Thank you, Rachel.
She apologised for it, and she went on an anti-Semitism court, of course.
Yeah, she went on an anti-Semitism.
But that's not enough.
And then the Labour Party conducted an investigation, which, interestingly, concluded its investigation 6 months ago. And coming out of this investigation was going to be a decision as to whether she would be expelled from the Labour Party or still held within the Labour Party. But they just haven't made the decision for 6 months. And
have been really confusing.
Well, no, they've not only not made the decision for so long, so it really feels like they've filibustered and played for time here, because now we're in about 5 to 6 days. There's a very limited window of time for anyone who wants to run for the Labour Party to be able to run for the Labour Party. So today has been ludicrous. I don't know if anyone else is across this story. Who knows whether she is allowed to run or not allowed to run for the Labour Party? Because every single report I read, almost every 10 minutes, the story flips backwards and forwards.
I mean, Diane did herself.
Yes.
She said, I was got upset to see that there were reports that I'd been barred.
Yes.
And then she said that she had been barred.
Yeah. And then
Keir said he hadn't barred her.
Starmer denies barring her, but they can't confirm whether she can stand in the election.
Well, no, they can't. They haven't made a decision yet, is what he said, wasn't it?
So you can't say that you haven't barred her if you haven't decided whether she can run in the election.
Well, because he hasn't decided whether he's barred her or not yet. She may still be able to run in the election. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but the point is it's quite clear that they're not making the decision so that they can time her out of the game.
No, but what he's saying is that we haven't yet made a decision. That's what he's saying.
And yet most people are saying that she's not allowed to run.
Yeah. So weird. So confusing. Very odd.
Kaz Rowley, Corbyn said earlier today she could stand. It's a distraction.
Very odd.
Distraction from, I don't think it's necessarily distraction from real issues. I just think it speaks to, again, I just find the Labour Party a particularly untrustworthy bunch of, just like the Tories. It just feels, something in this feels really underhand and really disrespectful. Of course, absolutely, me too. They don't want
to
run.
Scared
of Corbynites in the party, but they seem to be struggling to do it without breaking their own rules. Exactly.
Seems to be a fashion for that around the world.
It really does. Anyway, so maybe tomorrow morning we'll all know whether she can run or not. Yeah. But anyway, guys.
Meanwhile, are we doing our water quickly?
No? Water. Is anyone else affected by Thames Water have been urged to get a grip on testing water? You know, there was the South Devon issue with this incredibly unpronounceable issue that you can have that gives you diarrhea and vomiting. Well, in Beckenham, lots of areas in Croydon have been hit with the same bug. Is anyone here experiencing something similar with their local water company or water provider? Because it's getting bigger in London. I mean, we're now working on bottled water because we've had. We've heard that areas that are very close to us are being caught up in the Thames water. What's the actual name of the thing? I'm going to try and find it. So someone living in Beckenham, Sarita Brown, living in Beckenham, her family has been unwell with diarrhea and vomiting. Really? She and her daughter experienced mild symptoms, but her 8-year-old has been severely unwell for 12 days.
No.
Thames Water were very dismissive, she said, when they came to test my water. Other people in the neighbourhood have started to go down.
What neighbourhood is she?
Beckenham. She's in Beckenham.
Beckenham?
Yeah.
The drink. On the road.
It's slightly worrying, isn't it?
Oh, God. We've got to be a bit more careful. Girls are much more worried about it than us.
That's it. Yeah, no, I know. Well, I'm not surprised because here we go.
Because the thing is...
Cryptosporidium. Every time I see the word, it makes me want to vomit.
What are they going to do?
I don't know. I mean, how do they profoundly clean out the whole system? What do they do? Do they disinfect?
God, our air is poisoned, our seas are poisoned, now bloody drinking water's poisoned.
I tell you what it made me think, though, and I don't want to worry anyone, but it made you
realise...
realise...
Don't worry anyone.
How quickly our water supply could be messed with by dark
in a minute, there
forces.
won't be any blooming water in the supermarket,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true, actually. Let's go and panic buy water. Anyway, guys, lots of love.
Right then, I felt guilty again about Gaza and people that really haven't got any water. This is it. It's just like, oh God.
Yeah, everything you experience, you think, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
All right. Okay, guys, look, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Something else is landing later tonight. And yeah, we'll see you on the morrow. Yeah? Okay. Take care. We're just going to wait.